Good afternoon, Limitless CEO community here on Instagram. Here live on the Limitless CEO page for, I want to say episode 3, could be episode 4, but I think it's episode 3 of my new series, Be Your Own Brand. Oh, come on in, come and join me. Let me know when you're hopping on live, if you're watching this afternoon. Hello, gorgeous Kate, how you doing? Quick favor, ladies, as you are joining live, could you do me a favor and just hit that that like button on your video? What that actually does is it tells more people on Instagram that I am in fact live, and just help me to spread the love this afternoon. I'd be super grateful if you could do that for me. Thank you. Okay, so topic of today's session about be your own brand. So this is my new strategy session, my new strategy series, I should say, here on Instagram, where we're talking all things branding, personal branding, creative marketing, strategic brilliance. That's what we're here for. So hopefully you're here for that today. But today's topic is all around making impact and income starts with actually building a brand movement. Okay, so that's what I really want to talk to you about today. Super excited about this topic. Because there's usually two goals that, two main goals, I should say, that our clients have when they start working with us. And one of those is to make more impact in the world, to, really influence and impact hundreds, thousands, if not millions of lives all around the globe. And the second one is to make more income as well. So today, what I really want to do is to teach you how one of those actually organically leads to the other. And specifically how focusing on the impact of your business, you can actually ensure that the income follows. And I feel like this is where a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong. And the reason is that they're so focused on the income side of things, like, why is nobody buying? When are people going to start buying from me? That they're actually neglecting to go out and make the impact that then drives people to buy in the first place. So impact is the thing that is going to drive income in your business. So those things, not to get muddled up. And the reason why I feel like this is so important is because we're living in a world that is currently being driven by social media, by social influence, by social marketing. Okay, it's just like a whole new wave and era of marketing that has shifted in the recent years. And what is the best way for us as women in business to actually start to create engagement and impact in this space? And I truly believe that it starts with creating a social movement. Okay, and what I mean by a social movement, in simple terms, is that a social movement is where you take a big idea, a big, bold idea, and inspire change in society. You create some change that you want to see. And the beauty of brands is that they have the power to do this. Okay, so a brand has the power to create a social movement. A brand movement can start really simply as well. It can be a simple but big and bold idea that's really, I suppose, aimed at shifting the current way of thinking and the current way of doing things, or the current and existing way of behavior, and start to create something in a better way that achieves a common goal for a group of people. So it's all about this idea of change and, change for good. And I mean, how do you know when a brand actually becomes a brand movement, and not just a brand? And it's this term that I love, which is when it catches fire. Okay, so when it catches fire, and what I mean by that is like it spreads, it starts to spread, it catches, it's like, it starts to like spark off in other places. Then it becomes more than just a product or a service that people are buying into. Just a product or service that people can buy, but it becomes something that people can buy into as a way of life. It becomes something that like brings communities of people together and becomes part of their daily life. And that's when you know that it's become a movement and not just a brand. Afternoon, Alison. So in business then, if we want to make massive impact, which in turn then drives impact growth at the same time, then your business needs to be more than just a name or more than just a service. And it definitely needs to be more than just another kind of Me Too operator in your industry. Your business needs to be a brand that's making a movement. Okay. So if we have a look at, let's look at a brand that we all know really, really well, a brand like Nike, for instance, just to give you an example of something that you can relate to. Like Nike created a brand movement in sports that wasn't about making and selling trainers, even though they did make and sell trainers. It was a movement that was based on shifting attitudes, creating societal change. That's what a movement's all about. And that attitude was just do it. Okay. And it was a movement for people that wanted to be winners. Okay. They were really tapping into this like insight that people in sports want to be winners. In fact, do you know that actually the word Nike, the name Nike, actually comes from the Greek goddess that means victory? Okay, so the whole, like the swoosh symbol of Nike is actually a representation of the victory goddess's wings, that represented speed and power and movement and motivation. And that became like this global symbol for a brand. And by creating this movement, it allowed Nike to be embraced by all kinds of people all over the world for a common goal, to just do it, to be a winner. And as a result of that, they've not only sold billions of trainers all around the world, but they're now the biggest sports brand in the world ever. They outsell their next nearest rival, Adidas, by 2-1. They're truly a global leader. And I believe that this is the power of a brand movement. Okay, let's bring this back to like a smaller brand then, because obviously Nike is a big global brand, but how can you start to apply this to your business, and how have we applied this to our business too? Because the Limitless CEO is a brand movement. It's not just a name, it's not just a business, because it's about creating change. And we stand for creating change for women in business, to do it in a very different way. And that's why the Limitless CEO actually stands for us redefining what CEO means, which is consciously evolving owner. Rather than CEO, we had a vision for a brand movement that was around creating change for women to be CEOs in their business, in their own way, in a way that felt good to them. We didn't want to be the CEOs in the power suit and heels in the sky high office block chained to a desk. That didn't feel good to us. So our movement was about recreating what it means to be a CEO for women in business by being a CEO in our own business, in our own way that supports a life that we love. So the Limitless CEO was based on a movement. It was based on a vision to create change within an industry. So, okay, how do you actually, what is the steps then that you would go through if you were trying to create a brand movement? So I think it comes down to like 4 kind of key steps. And the first one for me is actually defining what that change is. So what is the change that you want your business to stand for? For us, we wanted to change what it meant to be a CEO and how women were able to be CEOs without the stereotype. So what do you want your business to stand for in your industry? Obviously, like in the context of what you do. So the change that you want to create has to be in the context of what you do as a business. You don't want to be trying to, I don't know, like redefine health and fitness if actually you're a leadership coach, for instance. So it has to be in context of what you do. But it's then asking yourself those questions like, what the people that you desire to work with, what are their current problems and behaviors and restrictions? Okay, so what are the problems that you can potentially solve within your industry? And then also thinking about their desires as well. So if we understand what their problems are, what is also important to them? What is the change that your clients would like to see in the industry? So as much as it can be driven by you and the change you want to see, what is the change that you're creating for the greater good of everybody else in the industry as well? For us, we were like, what do we want from business? What do we see our clients wanting from business? And this whole idea of actually being able to create a life, I think I just paused there for my connection, so I'm sorry, hopefully I'm back. We also recognize that women desire continuous growth and, to be able to expand themselves as well, hence evolving. And we also recognize that women in business, they desire self-leadership. They desire to take self-ownership and responsibility for their own lives, hence the whole owner piece. And this is where Consciously Evolving Owner then created a platform for our brand to redefine what CEO was. So hopefully this is all making sense to you. But that's the first step, really, is defining the change that you want to see in the first place. And then secondly, the next thing that I would say to do is to really adopt your early followers. This is really, really important. Start small to grow big. You've got to start small with every movement starts with those few loyal followers, those few people that love everything you do, that always show up, that are your super fans. And having those few people that stand behind you is how you start to create that momentum and that snowball effect. It's like a snowball. It's like you start small and you just keep on rolling. And then, that person tells that person and it gets bigger and bigger. And at this stage, I would also say that you need to start being quite positively disruptive in your industry. So if you're looking to create change in an industry, invite provocative conversation. Talk about things that other people aren't talking about in your industry or that maybe are a bit taboo. But really start to be what I call sticky. Okay, so sticky being people don't forget. You're quite memorable, even from the language that you're using and the things that you're saying. You can start to be quite sticky, where people are almost glued to you, if that makes sense. So the third kind of step, I guess, in creating a brand movement is to start to really invite participation and recruitment in your movement, because you want to create that snowball effect. You want that, people to start to share and start to, create community around what you're doing. So that really comes down to how you're guiding your community in what they can do to be a part of this movement through your calls to action, through the community containers that you're creating for them to come in and be a part of your movement. So how can you invite participation, and how can you invite this kind of member gets member type activity where people are sharing, they are talking about you, they're making referrals, they're inviting their friends in. Okay, so how can you encourage that to start to, help this snowball effect take shape? It's also where you want to be creating a lot of two-way engagement as well. So how can you create opportunities for you to engage with your audience, to create conversations or create places which we call flashpoints? Okay, so a flashpoint in marketing terms is like a space, it's like a place where you will find a group of people that are more engaged in your message. And this is where the power of private groups and communities really comes in, because they form flashpoints of people that are... Apologies, somebody was trying to call me just then. So these flashpoints, they're almost like a hub for people that are really engaged in your message. So how can you really start to cultivate that? And then I think the last thing is always have a really open communication policy. Always be inviting conversation, always be inviting people to conversation in your DMs or to talk to you, to feedback, to engage, to, have a two-way interaction with you that forms relationship. Every relationship starts with communication and conversation. So step number 3 is invite participation and encourage recruitment of people into your brand movement. And then the fourth thing then is really, if we're talking about igniting big ideas, so we've sparked off this brand movement, the final step is really to fuel the fire, is to stoke your fire by nurturing every single day. And when I talk about adding fuel to the fire, your content is adding fuel to the fire. Every time you show up, every time you post, every time you share, every time you go live, you're adding fuel to your fire of your movement. You're encouraging that two-way engagement. And you're creating these places that are the flashpoints that we talked about, people being more engaged in your message. So this do you know what? This is one of the most exciting times to be in business, as we've got access to global platforms that allow us to share our message for free most of the time. Okay, so I used to run an advertising agency, and I can tell you it used to be really, apologies, my connection was dropping out again. So, brands used to spend hundreds of thousands of millions of pounds to get their message out there. And now we're living in a world where we can do that for free through social platforms like the one that we're on right now, to not just build businesses that promote purchase, but also inspire positive change in society as well. And I think this is where the impact thing really comes in. It's not just about the income. It's about the impact that you make that then organically drives that income. But the impact comes first. Okay, it's about inspiring positive change. And brands and brand leaders and business owners that are here to be a force for good and change and want to see something different in the landscape of the industry that they're operating in, they've now got an opportunity to do that. You've got an opportunity to do that, to support your own life goals in the process. More freedom, more happiness, more health, more wealth, all the things we talk about all the time, but also do it in a way that's a force for good, for not just for you and for your family, but for other people that you're here to serve as well. But it really starts here, okay? Because your income will only grow as much as your impact. And getting a really bad connection. I hope I'm not losing you too much, but ladies, if you are someone that has got a big idea, okay, you really have got a big idea, and you really do feel passionate about creating massive change for good, and you want to influence thousands, if not millions of people, and potentially work with hundreds, if not thousands of people actually inside of your business. But maybe you don't feel like your brand is strong enough right now to make that level of impact, or maybe it's just not resonating with people. Maybe you're not getting the following, the movement, the momentum, the engagement that you desire. Maybe your message isn't clear enough. Then we need to chat. We need to chat, because this is the work of my life, ladies. This is what I love to do. And I said to Ali the other day, I was like, I really want to do something in massive service. Okay, there's that word again, service, impact, to the women in our world. And something that I have decided to do is to actually open up my diary to offer some complimentary strategy sessions, really to light a fire in your business and to offer you my vision and my creativity and my strategic excellence to actually identify what those big opportunities are for you to create and build a brand movement that has the impact and the income that you really want. Okay, so this is for ladies. If you are, if you've got that big idea, and you're thinking about getting some support with that in the next couple of months, this is an opportunity for you to come in and to speak to me about that and see how we can really ignite that idea, see where the potential is with this, see where the opportunities are, where the gaps are in your business that might be holding you back from creating that brand movement and that level of impact, and ultimately the income as well that you desire. So if that's of interest to you, just jump into my DMs, express your interest, and I can send you all the details on how you apply for one of those sessions. But thank you so much for being here live today. If you've been watching, thank you. Please do like this video, do share if you think that this is going to support somebody in your world that you know. And please do come back next Tuesday for the next episode of Be Your Own Brand. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care, ladies. Bye for now.